What's up, guys? Welcome to the Rabbit Hutch, where we take you on all of our homesteading, homeschooling adventures. I'm Sarah. Let's get started. Today, we're going to be talking about how to choose a homeschool curriculum. Now, this is something that can be really overwhelming, so I'm going to break it down into 6 simple steps for you. Step number 1, check your area's legal requirements. Now, I'm not sure about other countries, but in the United States, the easiest way to do this is to go to Homeschool Legal Defense Association's website. I'll link it in the description below. They have a really easy to follow guide based on your state, and that's the best place to start. Because no matter what you're doing, no matter what curriculum you end up going with, there are certain requirements that have to be covered. Now, even if you've already homeschooled in the past, this is something that you should do at least once a year, just to make sure that laws haven't changed and that you're still complying with everything that you need to be complying with, including record keeping, documenting, sending any information into your state. But as far as choosing a curriculum goes, this is going to be the best place to start because it's going to give you a jumping off point of knowing what you have to cover. Step number 2 is going to be choosing your curriculum style. Now, in general, this is going to be either a secular or non-secular option. No matter what curriculum you go with, you're going to want to decide if you're wanting something that has just facts and figures and is more secular, just education, or if you want something that is more of a faith-based curriculum. Now, this was kind of a difficult decision for me. I was really on the fence for a while, and I hesitated going with a Christian-based curriculum, even though we were very much a Christian-based household, simply because I wasn't sure how the values of the curriculum were going to properly align with my own personal belief systems. And it actually ended up being a really good jumping off point as far as discussing other people's beliefs and how things are translated differently. And it's overall been a really great thing that we went with a Christian-based curriculum, simply because the discussion of our faith is part of our everyday, and it's one of the bonuses of homeschooling that we get to work that into our curriculum on a regular basis. So once you've decided whether you want a secular or non-secular option, you're going to basically have 7 different styles to choose from. You're going to be looking at classical, Charlotte Mason, Montessori, unschooling, school at home, unit studies, or eclectic. And if your mind is like, what the heck did you just say? Don't worry, in the description below, I've got a link for a book recommendation for each of those and a website to help you kind of figure out what each of those means and see what kind of fits your wants and desires for your family. Now, jumping into number 3, we're going to look at learning styles. Along with choosing a curriculum style, you're going to want to take your children's learning styles into consideration. And this is something that you might actually not know if you're just starting out as a homeschooler. So you might do what you think is their learning style, but then as the year progresses, you start to realize this is not actually helping them at all. I had a really hard time because I wanted to teach my children my learning style, and then as the year progressed, I was like, why isn't this clicking? I don't understand. And then I realized I was trying to teach them how my brain understands things, but that's not how their brains worked things out. So a lot of curriculums you can find lots of samples. You can try a week here or there. Maybe even reach out to, if you have friends that are homeschooling and you know they have a certain curriculum, maybe just ask them, can I come take a look at your curriculum? I've had tons of people come and borrow curriculums from me just for a week, just to try it out, especially math curriculums, because people know that I have wasted a lot of money on math curriculums trying to make my children do a certain style that ended up not working out for them. So ask around, look for free samples, look for free trials before you spend all your money. Number 4, think about how much parental involvement you want to dedicate to each subject and how much parental involvement you can dedicate to each subject. Now you might be thinking, well, I'm homeschooling. Obviously, I'm going to be involved in every single aspect of what my kids are doing. But that might not actually end up being the case. 1, if you have multiple children, I, for instance, have 5. I can't physically be present and one-on-one with every single subject for every single kid. And for my older kids, they don't need that, nor do they want that, because they're like, Mom, I got this. Leave me alone. Let me do it on my own. Whereas my little kids, they do need that one-on-one time and I need to be a little more involved with them. So I've been able to kind of set up my older kids' school day so that if they need my help with something, I'm available, but I'm not actually the one that's presenting. For instance, their math. We have switched to teaching textbooks, which is an online curriculum, because it just worked out better for us. So time-wise is something to consider, and your own abilities in certain subjects. Maybe you're like, I suck at math, and I know I suck at math. I don't want to teach you algebra because my brain's going to melt and it's just going to be stressful on both of us. Or maybe you're like, I absolutely love teaching math and I want to be the one giving you this information. That's something to consider. And every subject is going to be a little different, and every child's needs is going to be a little bit different. So that also will determine what curriculums you go with, as some are more involved, some are more of just open and go, some require more of a lesson plan, some are totally online and you don't really need to do anything. Step number 5 is going to be considering your budget. Now, homeschool curriculum can be extremely expensive if you let it. There's a lot of free options out there. One of my favorites that I started out with when my kids were younger was all-in-one, easy-peasy homeschool. Now, another thing to consider when you're looking up the legal requirements for your state is also to look up if there's any financial aid available. Some states will give you money for homeschool curriculums and supplies. So make sure you look into that. Some states won't give you anything, but you're not going to know unless you look. And just having that knowledge will help you determine if you can spend more money than you thought you originally could, because your state is willing to pay for some of that overhead cost. Number 6, look at your own family's personal goals. If you want your children to be complete science nerds, then you're going to want a really science-based heavy curriculum. If your main goal for your first grader is that she's just struggling to read and you just need to get her reading, then your focus is going to be completely different. One of the great things about homeschooling also is that you can mix and match curriculums, and you don't have to have everything coming from one company. You don't even have to have all of your children using the same curriculum. There was a point that all three of my big kids were using 3 different math curriculums because it's just what worked best for each of them. So, but it was dependent on what their individual goals were and what we were trying to accomplish as a family. So once your goals are set, then you get a bonus tip, and that is to take a deep breath, don't overthink it, and trust yourself. You know what's best for your children. You know what's going to help them thrive, and you know what's going to be best for your family. So there's lots of options, and it can seem really overwhelming. So just take a deep breath and ask around. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button, that notification bell to be notified when we upload more videos. Happy homeschooling.